Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Santa Mac is here. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com, brought to you by Window Nation. I am Mac Engel. My friends call me Santa Claus. He's Clarence Hill. They call him the Grinch. No offense.
Santa Claus, where's my gift? Where's my gift?
It's in the mail. It got lost in the mail. Clarence, you are obviously in the library at the Star in Frisco. Before we get into this week's topics, is it 30 below out there? Like, what's with the coat? It can't possibly be. I mean, I know Jerry's cheap. He's not that cheap. Did they turn the heat off, or are you just another one of us Texas weather wimps?
It's not a coat. It's a sports coat with a hoodie. I got a hoodie with a sports coat. I mean, it's just a sports coat, man. It's just a blazer. A blazer. It's a blazer
with a hoodie and a hat. Gloves? Any gloves? You need gloves?
No gloves, man. I'm good. I'm just
Michael Jackson.
I mean, it's just a little stylish. I know you don't understand style. That's not your strong suit there. That's not your strong
I have my own flair.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Clarence, I don't know if you knew this or not, but one of the advantages that you have when you look like this, you can wear anything and make it look good.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So again, that's what my friends tell me.
Yeah, they lie to you.
No, they're not. You know what? They're jealous.
Bald-faced liars.
No, it's not. Clarence, we got a big week this week in Dallas Cowboys land. Before we talk about the upcoming game in balmy Buffalo, New York, we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They're for real. Up until Sunday night, all 9 of their wins, they have 10 now, all 9 of their wins, this is incredible, are against teams that currently have a losing record. Now, the statistical chance of that being the case in December is incredible. All 9 teams, 9 of the 10 teams that they have defeated this season have a losing record. And only one of them looks like they might make the playoffs. The Rams are 6-7, and they, you never know. They might turn around and they might slip in. But the Philadelphia Eagles, that's the team. The Cowboys went out on Sunday Night Football and kicked Jalen Hurts and his teammates around 33-13. I said before the game, anybody that wanted to lose money on that game should bet the Eagles, either straight up, money line, and certainly with the spread. I didn't think I thought Dallas would beat them up. I didn't know if they thought they'd beat them by 20. But Clarence, one thing the Cowboys have consistently done, it's like a good team in college football. They've blown everybody out. When they win big for the most part. They had a close game against the Chargers, and the Chargers just kind of fair. But obviously that horrible loss in Arizona notwithstanding, what the Cowboys did on Sunday night, all it did was prove what you and I have talked about for a while. This is a top 4 team in the NFL right now. Question is, if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, did that just totally show you what the Eagles truly are, and that the Cowboys are the class by far of the NFC East? The floor is yours.
Well, there's a little tricky thing about the Cowboys being the class of the NFC East. The Eagles still have inside track to the first seed, and to the not the first seed, but to being number 1 in the division because of that little tricky loss to Arizona. It's going to come back to bite the Cowboys. If both teams end up tied, the Eagles will get the edge as first place in the division because of conference victories. But yeah, the Cowboys have been playing better. The Cowboys have been playing better for the last month, and it was something that it's hard to say about a 10-1 team, but they weren't. They were more like Minnesota last year. They weren't the Eagles of last year. Jalen Hurts didn't look like the MVP of last year. Certainly, they kept winning games, and so you have to give them credit for winning. But they weren't that team. And for a Cowboys team that they're beating up the bad teams, and what are they going to do when they start playing teams with a winning record? Well, they beat Seattle, which had a winning record when the Cowboys beat them, and certainly they beat the Eagles. And for some people, I know we're going to continue to move the goalposts because the bottom line is it doesn't matter what the Cowboys do until the playoffs. Because it doesn't matter.
Ultimately, right. But until that time comes, keep doing what you're doing.
No, I agree. I'm just saying,
you're 100% right.
They will be judged on how they do in the playoffs. But right now, as we're looking for things to say, this team is legit. Yeah, the Cowboys are legit. I mean, you look at what's out there, and outside of the 49ers, they still have not been able to overcome the 49ers. But who's better than the Cowboys? You can look at NFC, you can look at the AFC, the
Who would
Chiefs.
you say? Baltimore's obviously playing really, really well. Kansas
Yeah,
City.
yes, they struggled against the Rams team. The Cowboys blew out.
Yep.
So yeah, Baltimore's playing well. Again, the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs. Miami's playing had been playing well. It'll be a tough game in Miami next week, but again, Miami just lost to the Tennessee Titans.
A bad Tennessee Titans team
with a rookie quarterback. So I mean, there's no cream of the crop, I guess, outside of the 49ers, and when they're healthy, they're tough to beat. But yeah, the Cowboys have as good a shot as anybody, and so they are continuing to show that. Now the next step on that rung, we know they played well at home. We know they beat bad teams like nobody's business. Can they carry this dominance on the road? Can they do that on the road?
So you will go to scenic Buffalo, New York.
Oh my God, where it was initially supposed to be a nice day.
Yeah,
we found out that it wasn't going to be in the teens. It's going to be 40 degrees. Now there's like 60% chance of rain.
Rain.
Yes, rain. Not
cold,
but
rain. You missed snow.
Well, there's no snow, but it's going to be rain, so it could be a nasty day.
Okay, so Buffalo, there might not be a more confusing team in the NFL right now more than the Buffalo Bills. They have Josh Allen. They're only 7-6. They came away with, they did it. They won the game in Kansas City, and I know everybody wants to go on the penalty that negated the last-minute touchdown by Kadarius Toney and all that. But the bottom line is, it was a penalty. And I understand Patrick Mahomes' argument or Andy Reid's, but the officiating is what it is. The guy lined up in the neutral zone. It's a penalty. So it did negate what would have been maybe a game-winning touchdown against the Bills. But Buffalo wins the game. They've had a lot of games like that earlier this season where they've played really good teams and they've barely lost. Philadelphia comes to mind. Well, now they're 7-6. They're playing at home. It does look like Josh Allen is taking a little bit fewer chances than he was earlier in the season when he was just turning the ball over. I'm just trying to give you the Buffalo take on this. So the Cowboys will go and play that game on Sunday. It's a late kickoff, 3:30, so it's going to be dark and cold early. Hell, it's Buffalo and New York. It's probably already dark and cold by 2:30 in the afternoon or 12:30 in the afternoon. It's always that way. And then on Christmas Eve, the Cowboys will go play the Dolphins, who are 9-4, like you said, coming off of a really bad loss to Tennessee where they gave up 2 touchdowns late in the game when they should have won that. Then Dallas will come home, close out its home schedule against the Lions, and finish up by going on the road to play against a team I didn't even know was still in the league, the Washington Commanders. Buffalo's 5-2 at home. Dallas is 3-3 on the road. If you said it, Bills are 2.5-point favorite. If you said to me right now, Clarence, the Cowboys win this game, I would say, yeah, okay, I buy that. If you said to me right now, no, Cowboys are going to lose by 3, I would buy that too. This is one of those rare circumstances, barring a blowout, which I don't think they're going to be blown out. I don't think we're looking at a San Francisco 2.0. I think any outcome here is okay. And I don't think it really reveals anything. Save a 50-point blowout or something. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's basically a pick 'em game. The fact that they're 2-point underdog, 1.5-point underdogs on the road tells me that Vegas, if they were a neutral site, Vegas would have the Cowboys' favorite.
Yeah,
you get 3 points on for home teams. So it's how many turnovers is Josh going to have? Can Cowboys and Dak continue their streak? It's going to be a tough game. But then you add in the rain. It could be a nasty, nasty game. I think the good news for the Cowboys, they're starting to run the ball better. They will have to lean on the running game up there. But it's wide open. Yeah, this is a game that Jerry Jones, I talked to him during the NFL meeting this week, and he said this game is just as big and important as the Eagles game because it's a test. It's, win on the road, up in there, those conditions. Right now, the Cowboys make the playoffs. They will be the 5th seed, and they have to win games on the road to ultimately reach their goals and get into the Super Bowl. So they need to play better on the road. It's another challenge, another step, another litmus test for this team. Can you win on the road?
Before we go to break, I wanted to ask you, because you may know the answer to this, and I understand there's still 3 games left. That's a lot, and a lot of scenarios are going to change. But if I understand this correctly, the way it looks like it's going to break down for the Cowboys and Eagles and 49ers, that the Cowboys would have to go to San Francisco in the divisional round to play the 49ers. Is that correct?
Just like last year. I mean,
so it would be. That's what it would be.
Well, no. Let me back up. It depends on what the Eagles do. It depends on if the Eagles. It depends on the seeding. If the Eagles are the number one seed, if Eagles are 1 seed and 49ers are 2 seed, yeah. Now the 49ers are 1 seed, Eagles are 2 seed. Then the Cowboys would go to Philadelphia in the divisional round. Depends on where the seeding ultimately ends up. And if the Eagles and 49ers are tied, of course the 49ers get the edge because they beat the Eagles.
Is there any plausible scenario where the Cowboys are the 1 seed?
Yeah. If San Francisco loses out, if San Francisco's a game behind, do you see San Francisco, losing and being a game behind the Cowboys and Cowboys winning out? I mean, those are things. Now, and I don't think the division is over for the Cowboys based on the way the Eagles are playing. And the Eagles certainly they have to play at Seattle this week, and they got some tough games. They got 2 games against Tommy DeVito, who showed some things up in New York. So what we thought was a relatively easy schedule for the Eagles and a tough schedule for the Cowboys down the stretch, it may not come out that way because the Eagles certainly have to get better. Their defense has been awful. The offense doesn't look like we thought it would. If the Cowboys take care of it and somehow survive this test, they may find themselves in first place in the NFC East.
Before this stretch of games came up, the 5 games where they played Seattle, Philly, and now these next 2, you and I both thought if they got 3 of these, they were in good shape. Well, now having won the first 2, and the Seattle game was tight, but they beat them. Philly game was a laugher. They got 3 games left. I think if they split with Miami, I think they're going to beat Detroit.
Yeah, at home. Yeah, they're going to beat Detroit at home. Go 4-1.
That's a hell of a stretch. Okay, we got a lot more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime. But first, a word from our friends at Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no interest payments for 60 months, 5 full years. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you very much, Window Nation. Back here on Cowboys Overtime, StarTelegram.com. Clarence Hill, I'm Mac Engel. Dak Prescott, he is your clear leader to win the MVP. This is a guy who was apparently the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL, according to the national talk shows just 5 months ago. Now he is the leader to win the MVP. According to Las Vegas odds makers, both Dak Prescott and San Francisco's Brock Purdy are pretty much neck and neck to win the MVP award, followed by Lamar Jackson, Baltimore's quarterback. Who else we got in there? Jalen Hurts was in the conversation. I don't think he is now. One thing when we did this last week, it was before I had an opportunity to talk to former New England Patriots defensive back Devin McCourty. And Devin now works for NBC, does their Sunday night broadcasts in there as an analyst in the studio. And I said, is he your MVP candidate? And he said, well, obviously the award has become a quarterback award, right? But he threw out a name that I didn't see coming, and that was Tyreek Hill. He thought if Tyreek Hill gets Calvin Johnson's single season receiving yard record, which is like 2,100 yards, something like that, I don't know if he's going to get there. I mean, he'd have to have 3 or 4 monster games to get there. But to me, right now, Dak Prescott is your winner. I know the argument for Brock Purdy. I don't hate this argument, and this is why. I think I tweeted this at you the other day. Typically, the quarterback of the team with the league's best record is going to be in the conversation, with the exceptions of Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, those guys. Brock Purdy's been really, really good. Now, he's got a good team around him, but he's been really damn good. And I hated what Cam Newton said yesterday. The former Panthers quarterback who went on some show was like, yeah, Dak and Purdy and all these guys are game managers. And I'm like, dude, shut up. That's not true. But right now, if this holds, Dak Prescott is your winner.
Yeah, and it's interesting, No Cowboys quarterback has ever won MVP.
That's insane.
That no Roger Staubach, no Troy Aikman, never won the Super Bowl titles. No MVP. So it's interesting that he could become the first one to do that. But obviously, a lot has to be said over the next couple of weeks. The thing on Tyreek Hill, I just want to address that for a second. They have an award for him. It's called Offensive Player of the Year.
And he said that. And I want to give Devin McCourty. Yeah. Devin said that. He did say that's the award he'll probably get.
They have an award for that, what he's done. But the quarterbacks are too important to what is happening on the field to say a receiver is more valuable than a quarterback.
So if you had to guess, and if I asked you this last week, forgive me, Clarence, who votes for the MVP?
Well, the AP has an MVP award. They have some vote. I'm not on that list, but there's a select amount of voters across the league. I think Shireen Williams, our former colleague, is one.
Okay, so it's like 30. Is it like 32 voters?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact number.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you this before we go on to these next topics. Does it bother you that Brock Purdy's in this conversation?
No, I mean, again, he's naturally going to be in the conversation because of the success of his team. I think, the two losses the 49ers had when they didn't have Deebo Samuels and they didn't have Trent Williams shows you, I don't know if Brock is the most valuable player on his own team, and certainly not the best player on his own team, but the numbers he's putting up as a quarterback, he's going to be in the conversation. I do think Dak Prescott has to do more to help the Cowboys win.
So do I.
Than Brock Purdy does.
I think if you put Brock Purdy on the Dallas Cowboys, they're not a 10-win team. No. You put Dak Prescott on the San Francisco 49ers, they might be in the exact same spot they are today.
Same way they're playing now. And it has a lot to do with that system, that offense. And, as we delve into the Cam Newton territory, but Garoppolo put up great numbers. Took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. What Shanahan is doing with that offense, it's a quarterback-friendly system. I think Brock is playing better than any quarterback he's had, but Garoppolo put up similar numbers in his system and took him to the Super Bowl.
Was Shanahan there when Alex Smith was the quarterback?
No.
Was that Harbaugh?
Yeah, that was years ago.
Harbaugh. That's right. I mean, the 49ers, if you look at the 49ers, Alex Smith, he did very well. Colin did great. Colin Kaepernick took him to a Super Bowl, damn near won it. Jimmy Garoppolo did really, really well. This guy's doing really, really well. I don't know if there's any other guys I'm missing. I mean, the one argument that bothers me about the whole system quarterback thing is that it takes away sometimes these guys are good.
Well,
we don't want to give these guys enough credit for being good players.
Yeah. No, they're all good. I mean, you don't get in the league without being a good player. Let's be honest.
Yeah, true.
But as far as game, I think Trent Dilfer was a game manager when he won with the Baltimore Ravens.
No doubt.
The job is to not mess it up. The game has changed. The offense is too important. You have to score too many points for just to be a game manager. And before we move on, I would say this, that coming into the season, I think that's what Mike McCarthy wanted Dak to do. We're going to run the ball. We're going to win the game with our defense. Well, we saw through the first 5 weeks, that's not how you win. And that's not going to be successful for the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy told us what happened after the San Francisco game. They cut Dak loose. And that's been the difference in this team and in this offense. They cut him loose. They quit trying to play close to the vest, throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, limit turnovers. You can't win in a league like that.
It's really
I think that's the difference. And the Cowboys defense is good, but it's not the Ravens defense, not the Bears defense. They're not shutting people out where all you do is limit mistakes. You have to play football. You have to play to win.
You have to make plays.
Yeah.
And he's made – it's not just plays 5 and 8 yards down the field.
No.
You've got to make vertical plays.
All of that.
And he's done that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next subject. I'm excited about this. In the history of the Dallas Cowboys and maybe coaching, there is no coach Clarence Hill loved more than Wade Phillips. I'm pretty sure Clarence still gets a Christmas card from the man I called Uncle Wade who blocked me on Twitter. Now, however, we have found a quarterback that maybe Clarence loves more than Uncle Wade, and that is one Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is a much better head coach than Wade Phillips. Clarence, 3 straight seasons, Mike McCarthy has led the Cowboys to 10 or more wins. This has every look that they're going to at least equal their previous 2 seasons of finishing with 12 wins. When they hired him, I thought, this is a good coach. Obviously, he'd done really well. But to me, at the time, I was like, I don't know if this guy's really that much different than Jason Garrett. To his credit, he's taken what Jason Garrett did, which was some pretty good things, and done better than Jason Garrett. I'm going to ask you a hard question. Where do you think Mike is better than where where's Mike McCarthy a better coach than Jason Garrett? And ultimately, Jason got him here, which is pretty good, and Mike has gotten him a little bit higher up.
I mean, I think that Mike does not get enough credit for how he managed his team. Mike, I mean, just out here every day, how he managed. This is a healthy team. He's done a good job, with Tyron Smith, not letting him practice. He does a great job managing his team and getting them ready to play the best football. I still don't think he get enough credit for going 4-1 without Dak Prescott last year. You see all the quarterbacks, all the teams that are struggling with their quarterback. The fact he went 4-1 and still went 12-5 last year without his quarterback speaks volumes to his coaching. But, we going back to the impression of Mike McCarthy coming out of Green Bay, and they thought that, the game had passed him by. It was an old coach. Aaron Rodgers was tuning him out, and they got to get rid of him because he's the reason why they haven't gotten back to the Super Bowl. He got a lot of guff. And there were a lot of people who disrespected his name and the job he's done as a coach, who worked with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Brooks and even Joe Montana when he first started his career, in Kansas City. He's been a, quote, offensive guru and all those things.
You said something there. I want to cut you off because I don't want to forget the question. We're hearing passed him by, right? We're hearing the game passed him by. We heard that about Mike, like you mentioned. Now we're hearing about the guy in New England. The game has passed him by. Do you believe that happens to coaches, that a game passes a coach by?
No, I think there's no question about that, because they're hard-headed, they're stubborn, they believe in their ways. I mean, coaches are kind of, this is who I coach, this is who I am, this is how I coach. These are philosophies I believe in, and they get stuck in that. And certainly I think that can happen, for sure. And again, just with Mike, I think that a lot of people, thought that how dare he get rid of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is a young coach, he knows the game. Mike McCarthy knows more about football than Kellen Moore ever did. And but there was a lot of nasty things said about Mike when he made that change. And look where the Cowboys offense is now, and look what the Chargers are doing right now. And Kellen Moore's situation is certainly a different situation, but he's proven a lot. And it's funny because I said that Mike and what he's done is so ingrained that the Cowboys did not even honor him after coaching them to a win last week, after 4 days after having an emergency appendectomy. He has an appendectomy on Wednesday, goes in pain for weeks or days, finally has an emergency appendectomy on Wednesday after he finally goes to the doctor. He's been in the hospital, comes to the hospital on Thursday, Zoom calls, everything else. Finally gets back to the facility on Friday. He's still sore. He has to have Matt Walesko be his blocking back, stand in front of him so no people will hit him on the sideline. Told Jake Ferguson, soft huggers, don't give him a big hug after touchdown. He's in pain, okay? He's still dealing with some stuff. But they're so ingrained, so focused on beating the Eagles. He calls another great game. After the game, he gives Michael Gallup a game ball. He gives all these guys a game ball. And I say, Dak, did y'all get Mike McCarthy a game ball? He's like, huh? Did you give your coach who had an appendectomy a game ball? No, we forgot. He just, it's like, dude, but he did. I mean, and it's like, but that just tells you, to me, it's a testament to him and how normal things were on the field and operations that they didn't even think about it. But that just tells you the job he done. And the funny thing, I asked him again yesterday in the locker room on Wednesday, did y'all do something for coach? No, we didn't. I need to call Jake. We need to go get some. It's just they moved on.
They did.
Which is again, and he doesn't want a center. He doesn't want attention. But for what he did to me, get the coach a game ball.
I totally agree. At one point in that game, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. And I understand you're in a game. It's emotional. You've got adrenaline going. At one point, he jogged down the sideline. And I'm like, what are you doing? You just had surgery, you idiot. Like, you probably shouldn't even be out here. Go home. And I coach. Coaches are different breeds. If you want to, people do those things. You've done those things in your job. I've done those things in this job. Where you're like, what are you doing?
Right.
And you do it. But I totally agree with you. Like, whatever doubt that people had about this hire, regardless of whatever happens in January, and though there's one person in this whole paradigm here, this whole model of the Cowboys that I don't think gets enough credit. And you got to give Mike a lot of credit, because he came in with an identity and what he wanted his team to look like, and they look like that. And the guy who's made that possible consistently to give him that piece is Will McClay.
No doubt.
And Will deserves, that whole staff deserves a lot of credit for identifying the players that they think will fit this system and work. And they have consistently found them, whether it's Tony Pollard in the 4th round, Deron Bland in the 5th, on and on. They have done a great job of hitting on picks. Again, you and I both know this thing can go to hell in January if they have a bad loss.
Oh, no,
or any
no
loss.
question. Yeah.
But
no.
until then, until that day gets here, you've got to give them a lot of credit. Okay, the real MVP of the 2023 Dallas Cowboys is none other than the wife of the kicker, Brandon Aubrey. Apparently, Brandon Aubrey's wife is the reason why Brandon decided, you know what, maybe I can kick a football. He said this week on the Dan Patrick Show after Sunday's game where he made a 59-yard field goal and a 65-yard field goal, thus becoming the first player in NFL history to make 2 field goals from 59 yards or more. This season, he's 8 of 8 on 50 yards or more. He's perfect from field goals of any length or distance, 30 for 30. He has missed 3 PATs, his first and then 2 others as the season has progressed. Clarence, as I wrote before the season, this was the biggest risk that they took. I was like, you don't even know what you've got with this guy, and this could blow up right in your face. Well, it hasn't, because Will McClay, Mike McCarthy, everybody gave this kid a shot, and they believed in him, and it has hit huge. To me, he's made watching a field goal exciting. I asked him after the game, I was like, can you make a 70-yarder? He says, yeah, I can make a 70-yarder. Now, a lot of things go into even attempting that kick, but to me, this guy looks like Justin Tucker 2.0. And when it comes to kicking a football, Justin Tucker's the biggest badass out there, and I think Brandon Aubrey might be his equal.
Yeah, well, let's pump your brakes on that.
Hey,
let's pump your brakes on that. The difference with Justin Tucker, and I said it during the Dan Bailey run here when everybody thought Dan Bailey, no one's better than Dan Bailey. Justin Tucker's kicking outdoors, and what he's doing in Baltimore is on another level. And Brandon is doing great. No kicker has made 30 straight field goals to start their career. But most of his kicks are indoors in good field position, good credit. Again, that's not to take anything away from him. I think as we go forward, certainly this game in Buffalo, another test for him. Another challenge. Kicking outdoors in Buffalo, this weather, that wind. Let's see what he does. But yeah, he's been great. And again, I want to highlight his wife because he's a former soccer player, played soccer at Notre Dame, was drafted in the MLS, former soccer player, soccer career is over, sitting around the house watching football. His wife says, you can kick, you can be a kicker, you can do what they're doing, go be a kicker. It wasn't him, it was his wife who pushed him.
Because he was a software engineer.
Right. Yeah. She said, you gonna be a kicker. And here he is being a kicker. So, we're gonna give, Will McClay all the credit for being a scout, but his wife, she's super scout.
It kind of makes you wonder. I wonder if she just wanted him out of the house.
Well,
make the NFL, make us some more money. Last thing I want to talk about, because you had a chance to be there yesterday at the NFL's owner meeting in Dallas, where Jerry Jones held court for a little bit. Clarence, did I read this right now? One thing he did address earlier, I don't know if it was on his show or yesterday. It sounds like Dak Prescott's contract extension. That's a formality. It's going to be done, so we can move on from that. But the one thing that he did mention is that it sounds to me like North Texas, Dallas, Arlington, Fort Worth is pretty much out of the Super Bowl business.
No.
No.
I wrote, you got to read your newspaper. I wrote a column about that this morning. Wrote a story about this morning. They're back in the Super Bowl rotation, or according to Jerry. According to Jerry, they were up for consideration for the 2027 Super Bowl in Los Angeles, and they will be up in consideration for future Super Bowls. They're back in the Super Bowl business.
Do you believe? Wait, time out. That's what Jerry said.
Well, I'm just saying, but you said what he said.
Hang on. I was under the impression for a number of years the Cowboys really weren't in consideration to host the Super Bowl, Arlington, to host the Super Bowl, not because of how just poorly it went in 2011 when Mike McCarthy was the head coach of the Packers and he won the Super Bowl, and all the ice storm and all these apocalyptic things happened at the same time. It was like some Disney horror movie, but rather because Jerry did not want to give up a home game in the NFL's International Series. And the NFL said, okay, if you're not going to give us a Cowboys home game in London, Germany, wherever, then we're not going to give you a Super Bowl. Is that wrong?
That was the past policy. That policy is no longer in effect. And as the NFL continues to expand games, and they have now 8. I think at some point they could probably have 16 international games. Everybody's gonna have to give up a game. And as we talked to Jerry yesterday, because there's so much talk about the NFL playing in Brazil, and Cowboys are among the teams being considered for a Brazil game. Jerry said he'd love to go to Brazil, but not as a home team. But he will give up a home game. He will give up a home game to go to Mexico. And there's no game in Mexico City this year. It could be back on the rotation next year. But as far as the rule that you have to give up a home game to get a Super Bowl, that's not in play anymore. And again, the Cowboys were under consideration for 2027. They will be under consideration for future Super Bowls, according to Jerry Jones. He told me that yesterday.
Well, I got to tell you, I know Jerry's an eternal optimist, and I have a great amount of respect for that optimism. Sincerely, I do. But
they get in the World Cup. He said Dak. He said North Texas is a great sports city.
It is.
The economy is great.
Yep.
Everybody does things here. The World Cup is considered one of the two favorites to get the World Cup final. It's a great venue to have in a Super Bowl.
It is.
LA is getting their second Super Bowl in 5 years.
Yeah. LA, to me, here's Jerry's problem, and we'll wrap this up. Jerry's problem and North Texas's problem to getting another Super Bowl is this. It's not New Orleans. New Orleans is in the rotation. It's not Phoenix because Phoenix has great weather in January, February. It's not Miami and South Beach because it's Miami and South Beach. And now they've got to fight with the existence of a stadium in Las Vegas, one of the world's premier tourist cities, and Los Angeles as well. So you've got 5 cities, or that's 6 cities that are automatically ahead of AT&T Stadium every time it comes up. That's his challenge. And I don't know. Jerry's the most charming guy in the world. He's a phenomenal salesman, but that's a tough one. And to me, of all the things that have transpired with AT&T Stadium since it opened, the fact that we've only had one Super Bowl is by far and away its biggest disappointment.
No, huge disappointment. But, Jerry said they're back in rotation.
No, okay.
back in rotation, back among teams being considered.
So all right, last thing, we'll wrap this up. Cowboys at Buffalo Bills on Sunday. Clarence, you are ahead of me by 1 in picking Cowboys games. Cowboys are 2.5-point underdogs. 2.5-point underdogs. Give me your picks.
Give me the Cowboys. Let's just stick with it. They're on the roll. Let them keep going. Give me the Cowboys 31-28.
31-28. I'm writing this down. Okay. I got to tell you, I think Buffalo's going to get in the playoffs, and they need wins like this. I think they're going to get a win like this, especially if it's bad weather. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills to win. Give me Dallas to cover. As you called it, split the baby?
You split the baby.
All right, this is fun. Clarence, it was great talking to you. For all of your Cowboys coverage needs and everything else, please be sure to check us out on StarTelegram.com. Cowboys at Bills on Sunday afternoon. Until next week, I'm Mac Engel. Catch you next week.